welcome to Therapy Now. I am your host, Dr. Ben. Well, in today's session, we get to talk about vicarious trauma, and I'd like to introduce you to a word I'm going to be using, mirror neurons. All right, so it was approximately 1 week ago. I had a client, and she expressed this deep dread of swimming. So I asked her one meaningful question. When did this feeling start? Did you actually have a horrible experience in the water, or did you know someone that actually drowned? And so she told me that she's actually never been able to swim, but she's heard a bunch of stories about people drowning in water. All right, so that was interesting. So she's never actually been able to swim, but she has fear of swimming. All right, so mirror neurons, again, this is an area that heavy research has been done in the area of neuroscience, and mirror neurons is a specialized set of neurons that we all have. And think of it this way. Number one, it helps us to act. And number two, it helps us to observe. So I think it's fair to say that we all have that aspect in us to be able to observe other people's experience as well as act based on other people's experiences and how that informs us to make certain associations. So mirror neurons essentially, whether you are actually acting upon something that you desire or you're observing another person doing that action, causes these neurons to fire. So as the neurons fire, memory is being stored of that experience. So the clients expressed this deep dread of being in the water, and she has no direct connection with swimming. And so the only plausible explanation is that she's observed others tell stories about how others have actually drowned and how others had bad experiences. So the next question I had to ask her is, what happens when you actually get into the water? What are some of the feelings and emotions that come up? And apart from the fear, she feels the body is just, there's this dread and this increased heart rate. And so the body is reacting to this familial environment, but from a negative standpoint. So she, explains that she does not know how she can overcome this. So mirror neurons not only enables us to act, but we can also build up on that via observation. So in this case, the client has observed gradually over a certain period of time that hearing stories of others drowning and having negative experiences. And so via the mechanism of association to something that is familiar, she's picked up the mental image of something she's observed. Whether it is actually accurate or not does not matter. The mirror neuron's job is to fire. So when we directly observe and or we experience, the mirror neurons are actively engaged to build or form memory. So where does this memory go? That is the next big question. So apart from, centers in our brain that, essentially process, memory, we can actually, our body has a way to remember experiences as well. So we store these memories, be it positive memories or negative associations within our body. So in essence, the body now reacts. So whenever you go into a situation where it is familiar to you, the body is in a position to automatically react rather than, simply you having to think that thought over. The body remembers, so it just tells you, hey, I don't want to see you step foot in the pool or even go close to the ocean because you're going to drown. It is dangerous. So just stay away. So that is what the body essentially is doing in the case of this client. And so one way to overcome this is via exposure therapy or in vivo exposure, where you actually go to that place that you so dread and enable your body to essentially reprogram itself from that negative memory that is associated with something that is become familial. So you expose yourself, of course, gradual exposure, so that your body can actually be able to process what it means to experience what it is that you're actually previously holding on to as a dread or something that is negatively um, tied to that behavior. So gradual exposure now retrains the body to not react in a way of, be it, increased heart rate, sweating, shaking, and all of these things that the body is accustomed to doing when you're actually um, traumatized. So again, you don't have to physically have been in a situation where you experience drowning, for instance, but through observation and things that are familiar, you can pick up trauma. And that trauma, again, houses in the body as well as upstairs. So the basic steps, again, is to know that we as individuals have mirror neurons, and the basic premise of function is that we can connect with one another. So this is where the vicarious trauma comes into play. So we've all been through a rough 2 years and counting of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so vicarious trauma states that we feel the pain that others feel. And this is via creates a pathway or mechanism that we can express empathy. So being able to connect with one another enables this process. So mirror neurons bridge this connection because we observe what others go through and what they feel, and we can relate to that. So without mirror neurons, this is not possible. And same mechanism brings in um, experiences that may be traumatic or negative into our lives because we observe, we connect, we make bridges, we form associations, and so we also experience trauma. And in this period of pandemic, we have been able to express this connection in different ways. One way is via empathy, being able to connect with one another in this difficult period. And also, that is how we can welcome or open the doors to traumatic experiences as well, that the body remembers as its own way of storing these memories, experiences. So, mirror neurons have a wonderful function because it makes us human. We can connect with one another, but same through that same pattern of mechanism, we can experience trauma. So being able to process negative experiences by releasing them from the body is how we heal. Because what happens upstairs is only one portion of the equation, but what's happening in the body is a bigger chunk of the equation, because if we don't release what is being stored in the body, whenever we go into a situation, a place that is familiar, these experiences will return and the body reacts first. All right, so look forward to more videos on my channel. Please do make sure to click the like button and subscribe. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Ben. I wish you a pleasant Sunday. Thank you so much. Bye bye.